right, good evening, everyone. It is Thursday, October 23rd. It is 5:30 p.m. and I'm calling the Salem Area Mass Transit District Board of Directors meeting to order. Now, will the clerk of the board please note attendance for a quorum? Thank you. And that moves us into our safety minute from our HR division.
Yes, so this month, Amelia Crawford from HR will present our safety minute.
Good evening, board members. My name is Amelia Crawford, and I am the Benefits Committee Coordinator here at Cherriots. I'll be doing our safety moment, and we're going to be talking about building psychological safety through storytelling. So what is psychological safety? It means feeling safe to be yourself at work, to speak up, ask questions, and share ideas. It also means feeling safe to admit mistakes without fear of being judged, ignored, or punished. It's the shared belief that your team is a place where you can take interpersonal risks and still be respected and valued. When psychological safety is strong, people are more open, creative, and willing to collaborate. When it's missing, people stay quiet, hold back ideas, fear making mistakes, and don't contribute to the team as a whole. Psychological safety isn't built in moments or policies. It isn't built in meetings or policies. It's built in moments. One of the most powerful ways we can create these moments is through storytelling. When we share our experiences, even briefly, we show others that it's okay to do the same. That exchange turns coworkers into people that we can connect with on a human level. Storytelling can be a bridge. When people share even small pieces of their personal stories, such as moments of struggle, growth, pride, learning, they create a sense of me too that creates empathy, breaks down hierarchy, and builds trust. Psychological safety grows when people feel seen, heard, and understood. It tells others you're not alone, and we all know how important it is to not feel alone. Stories humanize us, stories invite vulnerability. We're all different, but we're also all the same. Finding that common connection with people is what makes us feel safe. So I encourage you to share your stories with others when relevant and always in a respectful way. That concludes my safety moment.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Nice job.
Okay, do we have any announcements or changes to the agenda? I don't believe so. All right, so that brings us to our presentations. GFOA Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. General Manager.
Great. I'll ask our CFO, Denise LaRue, to please come forward and introduce our presenter.
Good evening, President Inamos-Pressy and members of the board. I am very happy to announce that we have received our 13th consecutive Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting from the Government Finance Officers Association. Each year, we complete and file an annual comprehensive financial report. You see it all electronically. We have it online, but this is what we're dealing with on a daily basis. And then it is submitted to the GFOA for review and consideration for the award. And this award is for fiscal year 2024. Tonight, I have the pleasure of introducing Gloria Butch, who is here to present the award. Gloria is a certified public finance officer and is here representing the Government Finance Officers Association. Gloria has been working in public finance since 1999, starting out with a CPA firm performing audit fieldwork and preparing financial reports for audit clients. After 11 and a half years as the finance director for the City of Independence, she is now serving as the finance director for the City of St. Helens. Gloria was the 2023-24 Oregon Government Finance Officers Association president, serving on the board of directors since 2017-2018. She is currently the GFOA representative for Oregon. Gloria has been a voluntary reviewer for the GFOA Distinguished Budget Award Program since 2012. Thank you, Gloria, for joining us.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here representing Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada. I'd like to give you a little background to both OGFOA and GFOA. The Oregon Government Finance Officers Association, OGFOA, maintains a membership of approximately 500 members. Membership consists of cities, school districts, special districts, and other government entities, along with partners from associated businesses such as banks and software companies, attorneys, and bond underwriters. Our purpose is to promote professionalism and excellence in public financial management through a commitment to the following 4 goals: fostering individual professional growth, advancing the government finance profession, furthering standards and policies for the benefit of our communities and our members, and monitoring and reviewing legislative and judicial activities as they relate to our membership. The GFOA was founded in 1906 and represents public finance officials throughout the United States, Canada, and U.S. territories. The association has over 21,000 members from federal, state, and local governments throughout the United States, its territories, and Canada. The GFOA's mission is similar to OGFOA, providing best practice guidance, networking opportunities, a large collection of publications, research, legislative support in Washington, D.C., and high-quality training opportunities for those in the public finance profession. Another program through GFOA is the recognition programs, one of which is for excellence in public finance and reporting. I am pleased to be here this evening to present the Salem Area Mass Transit District with the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting Award as bestowed upon the district by GFOA for its 2024 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, it's ACFR. The Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting Program was established in 1945 to encourage and assist state and local governments to go beyond the minimum requirements of generally accepted accounting principles in preparing comprehensive annual financial reports that evidence the spirit of transparency and full disclosure. 3 reviewers review the ACFR using a checklist that is 79 pages long with over 500 items to address. There are 124 specific items that if any one is not appropriately represented in the financial statements, that one failure could disqualify the entire report from the award. These requirements vary from items as simple as ensuring that there is a table of contents to items as complex as ensuring your statements properly combined the expenses of individual functions and activities with related program revenues to calculate the net expense revenue of each function and activity. That's very technical, sorry. By achieving this award, the Salem Area Mass Transit District has ensured that its financial statements are more than just numbers. Your constituents can be assured that your financial position is, 1, transparent, 2, fully disclosed, and 3, of the highest quality comparable at a national level. In Oregon, there are 87 total recipients of this award. This is the 13th year that Cherriots has received the recognition. I want to particularly recognize Denise LaRue for her work on the award-winning ACFR. Of course, the recognition should also be given to the entire finance department as well as the rest of Cherriots management and staff. Lastly, the support of the board should not be overlooked. The environment of excellence is obvious here at Cherriots, and your constituents should be very proud. Congratulations to you all. Thanks again for inviting me to come and present this award. It has truly been an honor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gloria, and thank you to all the staff and everyone involved. It takes the entire district. Thank you,
Congratulations.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Go ahead.
I'd just like to say thank you for being here and thank Denise and her crew and truly the whole staff. Getting this award is excellent, but getting it 13 consecutive times shows consistency and excellence. And I think that is one of the hallmarks of our organizational values is excellence. And that consistency, I think, is beyond reproach. So congratulations.
I agree, thank you.
Thank you.
One question.
Yes.
That's fine. So in your comments, first off, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming all the way from St. Helens to come
Certainly.
and present this award. In your comments, I wasn't able to take down your words verbatim, but you said that this award was representative of an organization that was transparent, fully disclosed, and then I didn't get the third one.
Fully disclosed, meaning all of your disclosures and your financial statements are complete and basically transparent. And then the other one was of the highest quality comparable at a national level.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, thank you again. Thank you for coming. And thank you so much for leading an amazing team to get this award for the 13th year in a row.
Thank you all. Thank you.
All right. Next up is our public comment. Community members may provide comments on transit-related matters during the meeting with a 3-minute time limit per speaker. Comments can be submitted in writing by email, in person, or via Zoom. Written comments received by 12 on the meeting day will be included in the official record. And for our public comment, we have Tyler McCulley.
Thank you guys for dinner, or at least direct permission to eat something, Sarah. Just so you guys know, within a now, I would say short bus ride, because it's not that bad, but there is now a Lego store at Bridgeport Village, which you can get to simply by riding the 1X, and then there's a free bus that goes to the parking ride. So I saw it as I was up there yesterday waiting for the Apple store to open. Pretty cool. But for those of you that have kids or just want to go spend some money on some Legos, it is there. And then there's another one at the Washington Square Mall. But yeah, Bridgeport Village is easier to get to. Anyway, I submitted something on via email. And also, Alan, thanks for your help in getting the bathroom fixed. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I respond?
Yeah, go
So
ahead.
I just want to respond to the bus stop request. So you've all received it today. Staff's already taking a look at it, and we'll assess whether or not we can put a bus stop in there based on the conditions, and then we'll keep Tyler posted and all you posted on what we decide.
Thank you. All right, and next up is Jesse Pion III.
Am I supposed to touch this? What do I do with this thing?
It should be on.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Hi, guys. My name is Jesse Pion, owner of the Salem Business Journal. I'm sure you may have seen, I wrote an article just yesterday about, an unfortunate series of events that are happening with one of your board members. And I would just like to, I have privately and invited Mr. Ramiro Navarro to come leave comment and talk to us about what happened with this event. And I'm here publicly asking Mr. Navarro to come speak with us. I know what it's like to be in a public position and have people write a bunch of mean crap about you and have things be, not accurate. And I know that it really sucks, and I really hated it when it happened to me. And so one thing that I'm really trying hard to do is make sure that I give everybody a fair shot and not twist people's words and make sure that I give you a fair shake. And so I just want to extend that invitation out to you, RJ. I don't know. I mean, it's very clear from everybody, the police investigation is going to be what comes out of it, and until then, it's none of us know what happened except for those of you involved. So I just want to, publicly extend that invitation out to you. I'll treat you fair, make sure not misquote you or nothing. I have reached out several times with no response. And so this is just me, again, publicly making that statement. So that way it's very clear that giving you a shot to give your take. That's all. And thank you guys for your service. Congratulations on the award. That's awesome.
Thank you. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our public comment, and that moves us into our consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
I move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
I second.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Now that brings us to item 6A, approve our fiscal year 2027 budget calendar. General Manager.
I'll ask our CFO to come back up, please, and present the report.
Good evening again. Tonight I am here to present the FY 26-27 budget calendar. It's hard to believe that we're doing this, starting this process again already. Oregon budget law requires that the board adopt a budget by June 30th, 2026 in order to continue operating. As shown on the calendar, we will ensure that the budget committee meeting is noticed within the required timeframes. We will also hold orientations in the month of April for any budget committee members who choose to participate. We are required to schedule 3 meetings. This year, we are proposing 2 options for you to choose from. Option 1, 5:30 on May 5th, May 6th, and May 7th, which is the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Or option 2 at 5:30 p.m. on May 5th, May 7th, and May 12th, which is the Tuesday, the Thursday, and then the Tuesday of the following week. After the budget meetings, the Budget Committee will present the approved budget to the board at the June 25th, 2026 board meeting for a budget hearing and adoption. Staff recommends adoption of the FY 26-27 proposed budget calendar utilizing either option 1 or option 2. May I answer any questions?
Yes, do we have any questions from the board? Director Holmstrom?
Does staff have a recommendation between these options, or is it just totally doesn't matter to staff?
The staff is fine with either. If it's option 1 and there is anything needed for the second night or for the third night, we would just make sure that it happened.
Director Davidson?
So I have also been staff to a governing body, and if I read between your lines there, if I were you, I would probably want extra time in between meetings. Is that something that would be appreciated by staff? In the event that that was needed?
In the event that that was needed, that would be great.
Okay.
But again, if it's, the last few years, we've also done the consecutive nights. We haven't had a need for the future nights, but if it's needed, we'll make it happen.
Okay. Well, I move that the board adopt the proposed FY 2026-2027 budget calendar utilizing option 2.
Second.
Oh, who wants it? Okay, Director Holmstrom seconds. Any discussion on the motion? No? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And this brings us to our next item, which is our public safety standards and, wait, no, hold on, sorry. Wrong thing.
That's correct.
Approval of surplus bus donation?
Correct. Is Chris going to be here tonight?
He said he was going to be tonight.
Could we perhaps maybe
Okay.
let's
we
go to the
can-
next one? We have someone from DPST who may be here, so if we can hold off, see if he shows up late.
Okay, so then we'll move to item 6C, award of contract for EAMS software? Correct?
Correct.
Okay. General Manager.
And Chief Operations Officer Dietz will present the report.
Good evening, President Iannohoz-Pressey, members of the board. I need to get the right memo in front of me, excuse me. Here tonight, shall the board authorize general manager to enter into a contract with Avail Technologies, Inc. for the delivery of an enterprise asset management system, or EAMS, and approve a project budget not to exceed $214,562. So last year, a little bit before this time last year, we entered into work on our Cherriots Intelligent Transportation Systems project. The successful bidder in that solicitation was Avail Technologies. The asset management module that basically is our shop software. It handles asset management, life cycle of vehicles, parts, inventory, work orders, and the like, is an antiquated software that is no longer supported. And we're actually the last transit property on the planet to be using this software. So it works, but we did a solicitation, received responsive proposers. The Source Valuation Committee met and determined that Avail Technologies, Inc. was the successful bidder. So this contract will then round out the suite that we have with our ITS project and Avail and our fleet management or asset management software. So staff recommends that the board authorize the general manager to enter into a contract with Avail Technologies, Inc. for the delivery of an enterprise asset management system and approve a project budget not to exceed $214,562. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board? No? Okay. Sounds like everyone feels very comfortable. And I did get to chat with someone from Avail at the Latinos in Transit Leadership. Do you remember?
David Mujica.
Ah, yes. So nothing but great things to hear about the process, and excited to enter into a partnership with Avail. Director Duncan, do you have a question? Or a comment? Okay, go ahead.
If you're all right, I'll make a motion.
Let's do it.
I move that the board authorize the general manager to enter into a contract with Avail Technologies Incorporated for the delivery of an enterprise asset management system and approve a project budget amount not to exceed $214,562.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion on the motion? Yes, Director Carney?
Thank you, President Iannohoz-Pressey. I feel like it wasn't that long ago that we got to know Avail.
Yeah.
And now I'm feeling like, remember when Google was just email, and then it was your calendar, and then it was your filing cabinet, and then it was your photo storage, and I'm having that feeling of like, wow, this is maybe turning into something bigger than I thought it was.
Yeah. I'm sure Director Laura Midkiff doesn't know anything about that. Went right over your head. Yeah. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, motion passes unanimously.
I didn't realize I was dating myself, but I was.
I have you're good. I also have a similar experience.
Okay. Do we want to maybe defer item 6B? Or do we want to go ahead? 6B?
I think let's move, if he's not here by now.
Actually, I just got a text message from him. He is not going to be able to make it. He's stuck on the pass.
Oh,
He's coming from Bend,
Oh,
so.
okay, let's proceed then.
okay.
Good evening again, President Iannohoz-Pressey, members of the board. Here to ask another question. Shall the board authorize the general manager to approve the donation of 3 surplus buses to the Oregon Department of Public Safety Standards and Training, DPSST? We've been in conversations with the representative from DPSST started late last year, I believe. Introduction was made, and then had continuing conversations. And then earlier this summer, received an official request that you'll have in your packets from DPSST asking for a surplus bus, or in this case 3, to be donated to what rolls off the tongue easier is the police academy. During the conversations, they use our vehicles for confined space training. So, I mean, my mind goes all Jack Ryan and what that means. But really, it means a little more than that. It means a continued partnership with Cherriots and the community, but also law enforcement as a part of that community. So we have some buses that are decommissioned, and all that he asked was, can it get there on its own power? It'll never move again. And we said yes. So we have identified 3 of our oldest diesel vehicles that will go to DPSST and be in use for many years for confined space training for our law enforcement professionals. The financial impact is really negligible because they're diesels. We would have sent them to auction, and we would have gotten $1,000 to $3,000 per bus. So I did feel it necessary to put it in the financial impact because that is funds that will not come in. But in talking with general manager and the executive team, it seems like a good fit that it goes to work in that way. So staff recommends the board authorize the general manager to approve the donation of 3 surplus buses to Oregon Department of Public Safety and Standards and Training. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Do folks have any questions? Director Laura Midkiff.
You want to go? Thank you, Tom, for the presentation. So describe to me, so at auction, are these buses that might otherwise be used to transport people? Or are they just really out of commission, like they just don't work? They're beyond the usable life?
Thank you for the question, Director Laura McKiff. Are you speaking of these 3 specific buses?
Yeah.
They could be refurbished to transport people, but right now they're past their useful life, and one of them, so 2 of the 3 that we're sending over, we're going to take components off of one, put it on the other, move it to its location, remove those parts again, put it on the second bus, put them in, drive it there, and then it can stay. So these buses are not mobile. One of the 3 is mobile, but if we sent them to auction, they would be refurbished and could be anything from an RV to sent to a smaller town for transit.
Thank you. I think my general comment is I would rather see these buses be used to get people around, to serve their purpose, whether that was selling it at auction to another agency that could refurbish it because they couldn't afford a bus up front, a new bus outright. And I think that's especially true because the police, I can imagine, can train people in confinement through other means other than a bus. I don't know if that's true or not. I wish Chris were here to be able to speak to that. But I think I'm a little uncomfortable sending it off to the academy. I'd rather us send it to people, to places where it could be used to get people around. But I'm willing to hear from my colleagues.
General Manager?
Yeah, Tom, could you give us paint a picture of the potential expected cost it would take to make them service ready?
Yeah, thank you for the question. In order to refurbish a bus, a 40-foot diesel bus, you're upwards of $100,000 to get it running. And then if you did anything with the paint, that's additional cost. So you're certainly north of $100,000 to get it just to where it would be safe enough to haul passengers.
Yeah, thank you. I don't want to suggest that I want us to do that. I'm just saying if it's also considerably less, as much as that is, it's considerably less than
Buying a new bus.
buying a bus for agencies that would maybe are in desperate need of buses. So I don't know. It's just I'm not a no exactly, but I think there are better uses for this sort of infrastructure.
Director Holmstrom?
Yeah, thank you. My question was, if the board approves this, would the buses be de-Cherriotsized in terms of their livery? I imagine these are the red stripe buses. I can't remember. I think that's painted, not stuck on. So what's the plan there?
Thank you for the question, Director Holmstrom. So some of our red buses have vinyl stripes so they could be removed. Others are paint. What we would do is remove what we could remove. The red stripe, if it's painted, would stay on. Because one of the reasons that we asked a lot of questions about what do you want to use these buses for, obviously we've had some issues in the past, and he said they would never leave the property off of Amsville Highway. So the red stripe wouldn't matter, but we will still take our bus number and the Cherriots name and logo off of it.
I have a little bit of like a pivot question, definitely connected to this. So I know that transit agencies are a highly regulated enterprise, and we are not allowed to have too many buses. We have to maintain like a specific certain amount in order to provide service. So could you maybe just speak a little bit to what do we mean when we say surplus bus? And what is a surplus bus, I guess?
Thank you for the question, President Enos Pressey. So you're correct, and you're speaking of the Federal Transit Administration's spare ratio requirement, and that number is small when you consider our daily need. A surplus bus is anything that has been replaced with a new bus. So these buses have been replaced with battery electric buses, for example. There is a fleet, if you will, that we could have. I mean, we couldn't go crazy, but a contingency fleet means that a bus is service ready, but is not in regular revenue service, but we still have to maintain it on a regular schedule. So our contingency fleet would be if we had an event that caused us to lose 6 buses. We could then notify the FTA that we're going to pull 6 buses from contingency into revenue service. Then it goes on the regular preventative maintenance schedule. I would probably bore you with all of the steps, but to answer the question, surplus is really anything that is not in regular revenue service that was replaced by a new bus. And then in order for that to happen, they would have to be past their useful life benchmark of either miles or years. And these are both, past useful life benchmark on both.
Past their useful life on miles and years. And could you remind me what the spare ratio is? Like how many buses can we have?
We are supposed to be below 26%.
Okay.
But with our battery electrics, we're a bit over that. But we've had to use the older buses to cover when the battery electric bus couldn't make it on a full day.
Yeah. So we can't have more than 26%. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
General Manager, did you want to say anything? No? Okay. Awesome. So are there any other questions or comments or concerns on, yes, Director Davidson?
Just a few comments. So the Department of Public Safety Standards and Training, it is in fact the home of the Police Academy, but it's also perhaps more properly described as the Public Safety Academy, because beyond police officer training, they do parole and probation officer training, they do fire training, and so when we're talking about confined spaces, it could very likely be used for fire training purposes as well. Parole and probation officers, patrol officers, correction officers. In fact, our private security that serve here at the Downtown Transit Center, they also do training at the Public Safety Academy, and I would expect and hope that they would have an opportunity to do some of this de-escalation training within the buses, which I think would be incredibly useful to us personally. I don't know how you could get a better simulacrum than one of our old buses. Those red plush seats, I mean, you can't simulate that. So I just wanted to provide that context because Oregon is unique in having combined many of its public safety academies under one roof. It's not particularly common in the United States, so wanted to note that.
All right. Okay. Well, seeing no other questions, would anyone like to make a motion?
I move that the board authorize the general manager to approve the donation of 3 surplus buses to the Oregon Department of Public Safety Standards and Training.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? No? Okay. Thank you for bringing this to us. Sorry to Chris for being stuck on the pass. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm a nay, sorry.
That's okay, but the motion passes. Okay, thank you very much. And this will move us to item 7A, Creating Community Connections Project Brief.
Thank you. So the order of operations tonight. So Hayal will present an overview of the outreach activities that we've done as part of the Creating Community Connections process. Then Shofi will present the summary findings of the electronic survey, and then we'll have a discussion on the task force.
Okay, great.
Good evening. President Inhofe Pressey and members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to reflect on the arc of our Creating Community Connections campaign. We'll talk a little bit about how we began, what we've learned, and where we now stand. This campaign launched with a single purpose: to engage our community honestly and meaningfully around the future of transit in Salem-Keizer and surrounding communities. From the beginning, we built a strong foundation, clear structure, thoughtful messaging, and authentic opportunities for folks to be heard. Early on, we established a partnership with the Terrell Group, finalized our branding and outreach strategy, and created tools like the Service Enhancement Survey to ensure that every voice from daily rider to non-rider could help shape our vision. From there, we moved deliberately from planning to presence. Through the summer, we took the campaign into neighborhoods, parks, and community areas, from Fun Fridays and the Riverfront Family Fest to the Latino Business Alliance, Keizer United, and our own open houses across the region. Together, these events engaged hundreds of people face-to-face and thousands more online. Each stop brought new stories, questions, and perspectives. Our outreach teams have shown up with energy, professionalism, and heart, meeting people where they are, listening, and responding with care. As the campaign gained momentum, our online presence also grew. Engagement across our digital platforms rose by hundreds of percents, sure, through clicks and impressions, but also, and more importantly, in meaningful conversations about how Salem can and should grow. What does that mean numbers-wise? It means we've engaged directly with roughly 1,600 people face-to-face and reached more than 5,000 community members through events. In all, the campaign has achieved well over 10,000 meaningful online interactions and an online reach exceeding 180,000. Those community connections are just the beginning. We'll continue working hard to strengthen trust, build lasting relationships, and shape a system that reflects who we are and where we are headed. At one of our recent work sessions, I mentioned how at Cherriots, one of our core values is excellence. For us, that is still not just a word on a wall. It means we refuse to settle for mediocrity. It means holding ourselves to a higher standard because our community deserves it. And frankly, Oregon's capital city deserves it too. We hope our business community and civic partners share that belief that Salem should not accept good enough, but rather invest in what's possible when excellence is the expectation. As these conversations continue, we also recognize the importance of education, particularly in the spirit of partnership. We know people care deeply about how dollars are used, and sometimes complex issues get simplified in ways that miss important context. When that happens, it's on us to clarify. As an example, ridership alone is not a full measurement of success, and the sight of a bus that isn't full doesn't mean it isn't essential. Those buses connect workers to jobs, students to schools, neighbors to faith communities, and seniors to care, even if not every seat is filled. That same clarity extends to the next generation. The Youth Zero Pass is not a handout. It's a hand up. It gets students to school, after-school jobs, maybe their first job, helps parents stay employed, and helps our youth get to community programs safely and independently. It builds confidence, grit, and resilience, and the work habits that form tomorrow's workforce. Removing it might save pennies today, but only at the expense of tomorrow's potential. It comes as no surprise, then, that the community has given us plenty to think about, including feedback that goes beyond service design and speaks to the funding mechanism itself. While not all of it ties directly to the service plan, it tells us something important. People care deeply about how decisions are made and how dollars are used. That passion, even when it's pointed, is better than indifference. It helps us refine how we communicate and continue to build trust. Of course, not every comment moved the conversation forward. Some reflected broader frustrations about taxes, and that gives us valuable insight into the concerns we need to address openly. We've also heard questions about fare increases, and those are fair questions. Thank you. Riders have told us that even a modest fare increase could force impossible choices between a bus pass and groceries. To some points made that the burden should not fall on those least able to bear it, we agree wholeheartedly, and will continue to evaluate all options openly with our community partners. And with that, I'll turn it over to Chief Olazoom to go over some of the more technical and data-driven aspects of the campaign.
Thank you so much. Good evening, President Inhofe Presi and other Board of Directors. I'm glad to be here to present our survey results. We had started our service enhancement survey back in June 12, and this is the result of first 4 months until October 8 of 2025. This survey will be open until end of this month, October 31st. In the first 4 months, we have received a total of 676 responses, and 19 of those were Spanish responses. And majority of those people completed the survey using our website link. And let alone in the month of September 2025, we have received about 50% of all responses. When it comes to the geographic distribution of the people who spoke and who responded our surveys, majority of those are within the urban growth boundary and mainly in and around Salem downtown area and zip codes in and around that. We have provided some maps that shows the geographical distribution of the survey responses, all the responses that we have received. I'd like to highlight what are the top priorities on our current service improvements. We have asked our residents to provide us or help us to prioritize what is important to them. And we offer them this list of improvements to improve our current services. And of that, improving the weekend service and holidays is still the top. More than half of the respondents prioritized it as number one or the highest important things to them. And it is not a surprise. It is consistent with what we have been hearing for the last 4 or 5 years. I'd like to point out here all the blue color on the bar chart. That means the responses that we have received from the month of June through August. And the red numbers that in the month of September. And the reason we're showing this is this number second is still improving the weekday service, which is also consistent with all of our needs assessment and other surveys that we have done in the last 4 years. And number 3 came out as none of the above. In the first 3 months, there was only 28 responses, and residents, they rated none of the above. But in the month of September alone, there was 200 responded saying none of those improvements are important to them. And those are the same group of people, and we have analyzed their responses. They have never written our system, and they don't want to write our system. And overall, I think our top 3 priorities remain consistent and unchanged. If you look at the 4 months window, improving the weekend service, improving the weekday service, and the next one is improving safety at bus stops. Now, I would like to discuss the new services that we're offering as part of our service enhancements plan. These are the services that don't exist at this point, but are critical for us to improve the mobility within our area. Of those, introducing special event service is still the number 1 among all the responses that we have received. And the second came out as none. And as I say, the red color indicates the responses only in the month of September. It was 52 in the first 3 months. And just in the month of September, we have received 196 responses saying that none of those are important to them. And those are the same group of people who have never written our system or don't want to. Following that, we have downtown circulator and introducing on-demand microtransit service as important thing to the people who responded. And I'd like to give a perspective on those different numbers, different 2 colors. In the month of September, we have received 50% of all responses. Of those, 72% of the September responses were collected in the too short window in the month of September. The first huge spike we have seen between September 9 and 10, and the second huge spike we have seen in the September 19 through September 25. For the last 4 months, the average response survey completion is about 3 to 4 responses a day on an average. But in those days, we have seen 50 plus responses in a day, some days. And of those, 82% who never, as I mentioned, never used our system and indicated that none of those improvements are important to them. And interestingly, those responses and huge spike in the month of September came right after Chamber of Commerce email. And the third one that we have been tracking, what % of people are saying that both of those are important, meaning that improving existing service and introducing some of the new services. It dropped a little bit. It was almost 52% in the first 3 months. And it dropped to 37%, a little over 37%, but still a substantial percentage statistically, that both of those are important, existing service and introducing new service. In those first 4 months, we have received several hundreds of comments, and we have categorized them in 5 major categories. The first one I would like to highlight is the service expansion. A huge chunk of the respondents, they were emphasizing that increasing frequency on the weekends and weekdays are top priority for them. And we have received several comments to improve access to the seniors and disabled people and major employment centers. The second category is infrastructure improvement, and that includes improving our bus stop amenities, adding more shelters, benches, lightings as appropriate. And the third category is safety concern, the concern around crime, drugs, and homelessness. And some suggested that we should have transit police, and we should have more improved driver training to handle the difficult situation. The fourth category comments include operational efficiency, the concern around empty buses. So some suggested use smaller vehicles or potentially do a partnership with TNC companies, Uber, Lyft, or use microtransit services to improve the efficiency. And the fifth category, there are a group of people opposing the service enhancements, and they don't believe that using the employer payroll tax is the right way to implement these enhancements. And if you look at the geographical distribution, majority of the respondents from downtown Salem, Keizer, and Northeast Salem, they were in favor of implementing service enhancement using the payroll tax. They're in favor of supporting. And the respondents from West Salem and South Salem, and a huge chunk of those were opposing. They don't believe that using employer payroll tax is the right way to implement service enhancements plan. So that's the high level, and I have provided some additional details, maps, and for your own, you can read them at your convenience, but that's the key message from the surveys that we have received so far.
Thank you, Chief Ulazum. As we close our presentation tonight, I want to acknowledge something we hear often, that only about 4% of folks in Salem and Keizer ride the bus. That number really doesn't tell the whole story. It doesn't reflect disinterest. It reflects limitation. It's a simple question of supply and demand. When service ends too early, when routes are too few, when frequency is too low, people simply can't rely on transit to build their lives around it. When we expand those options, when buses come more often, run longer, and reach farther, we increase ridership because we expanded access, we expanded dignity and opportunity. Because behind every route line on a map is a story. Maybe it's a parent holding 2 jobs, a student racing to make a morning class, a senior keeping a medical appointment without asking for help. That's what's at stake, the simple promise that people can get where they need to go when they need to be there. That promise lifts our entire region. It connects people to work, to school, to healthcare, to their faith, and to one another, and that's how every sector of this community thrives. We also understand that improving service requires investment. We acknowledge and respect how real and impactful that cost is, and we also recognize the return. We were recently asked for a cost-benefit analysis, and that's good governance. The data, which already show a strong return of about $2.10 for every dollar invested, support that work. But the greater question is one of legacy, because our numbers measure outcomes, not vision. Increased ridership helps people reach opportunity. It helps businesses grow by widening the pool of candidates who can reliably get to work. When more people can commute, businesses gain stability, flexibility, and strength. I'm reminded of the timeless lesson: a society grows great when people plant trees whose shade they shall never sit in. That's what investment in public transit is. It's the act of planting something lasting, something that gives shade, safety, and opportunity to people we may never meet, but whose futures depend on choices that we make. And in that way, transit becomes more than transportation. It becomes connection. It becomes opportunity, access, and possibility in motion. And that's the part I hope that resonates with all of you tonight. We know our business community shares our belief that mediocrity isn't a strategy. No successful enterprise builds its future on good enough. Salem's transit system and Salem itself deserve the same standard of excellence. That's why this conversation matters, because how we invest reflects what we believe our community is worth. When we invest in transit, we invest in growth. When we invest in transit, we invest in stability. When we invest in transit, we invest in people. So, to our riders, to our community, to our staff, to our partners, to our business leaders, and to you board members, thank you so much for engaging with us. You've thought critically, you've challenged us to think critically, and we commit to continue that critical thinking, because in the end, we all want the same thing: a connected, thriving, forward-moving capital city that reflects our shared values and our shared pride in this place we call home. And with that, we conclude our prepared comments, and as ever, we are so happy to take any questions you may have.
Do we have any questions? I wanted to note in this map, frequency of writing chariots by zip code, if top priorities are implemented, and just, I see my zone, sub-district 4 / the area code of 97305, how folks would be using it 5 or more times a week. And I think that also just shows, hopefully, that we could, if we implement our service enhancement plan, we could move from that, micro transit on-demand service to like a fixed route system. Every time I drive, like there's like a little park right there. There's parking spaces, and I'm like, that would make a great like bus pull-in. Feels like it's just perfect. And if only I knew someone that I could talk to about making that a bus pull-in. Anyway, but I thank you. I think that this information I've definitely been waiting for. And I'm actually like really excited to see it. I also appreciate the way that it was broken down of reflecting like the zip codes and the urban growth boundary and how folks responded in the zip codes, because I think it also gives us data to things that we have had a sense of, but haven't really been able to, it was all just anecdotal. It wasn't like backed up, where it's like people in Northeast Salem need more service. People in Keizer need more service and they want these investments. I also think that it's interesting that even when we have zip codes that are far outside of our urban growth boundary, like, what is this, like over by Veneta? Like, they'd say that they'd ride the bus 5 or more times a week. Like, I would hate to be the person that has to commute into Salem from out in Veneta, but I think it also shows that the impact is larger than the Salem urban growth boundary, because people come in to work, they come in to go to school, and like they desire this bus service. So thank you. And thank you for the presentation. Thank you for breaking down the data. Are we sure folks don't have any questions or any additional comments? Yeah, Director Duncan?
I just wanted to say that your speech was very beautiful. I actually pulled out a couple of quotes here. I really liked you saying, excellence is the expectation. That's what we expect here at Cherriots, and I think it's what we expect of the community. I thought that was very beautiful. I also liked your phrase of possibility in motion. I was at the COG dinner a year ago when we had our lovely Director Davidson that picked the program. And we had a speaker, and he was an author. And one of the things he talked about was how access to transportation equals freedom. Because individuals who do not have access do not have freedom to go to the grocery store when they wish to, or to go to a doctor's appointment, or if they're at work and they have to go grab their sick kid from school in the middle of the day. If that bus only comes once an hour, then they're not there for an hour. And so you are limited without freedom to use the roads that your tax dollars go towards. And our transit system is possibility in motion. It is the possibility that you can get somewhere. And I wanted to pull that one out because it resonated with me strongly, and I appreciate both of your work. Shofi, you know I always love your graphs and your charts, and you always do such a stellar job, and so I don't want to leave you out either. Thank you so much. But thank you for the very eloquent way you guys presented this. I know you've poured blood, sweat, tears, time, everything else. Thank you. It does not go unrecognized. I appreciate you both very intensely, so thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, Director Carney.
Oh,
Hey, we're so close.
I know, you were, you're almost out of here. I just also want to say thank you for the quantified analysis of this survey and helping illustrate the story that it tells about who's participating, what they care about, and what they don't care about when they are participating. I think it's really helpful. And, you know, just as a personal anecdote, because storytelling and our safety moment, but I won't let it take up too much time. I lived in London for, I don't know, half a year, maybe 8 months when I was in college and studying abroad. And then after college, I moved to New York City, and I lived on the island of Manhattan. And then after 6 years, I was ready to move someplace else. And I looked around the country and I said, where can I move that I don't have to buy a car to do it? Because not owning a car is a privilege. It's a freedom, not in a way like, oh my gosh, I can, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a freedom for me in that I could finally get to a place. It was just, I didn't want to have to. And so I moved, I bought a one-way train ticket, and I moved to Portland, Oregon from New York City, which is a beautiful ride, definitely do it. And I lived in Portland for, I think the first 2.5 years I was there. I didn't have a car. I had my bike, I had the bus, I had the Max, and it worked. And it does work. And I moved to Salem 13 years ago because it can work. It can be better. I moved here to make transit better, and it can be better, and it makes everything better. And it kind of boggles my mind that people can't see it. It's like, I'm like, do you want to clean those off? Like, what is clouding your vision about the potential that we could realize? This can be such a great city if we can connect it and like strengthen the heartbeat that transit is. So I'm super excited to see that happen, and thank you for your passion and your time and all your work and your eloquent presentation. Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll turn my mic
Well,
on.
yeah, I appreciate, you know, like, yeah, you can, I think we can let you go. And I know that we have like another topic that we want to discuss, but I did want to highlight some of these, like some of these comments in here that I think are great. Even though I don't ride, my kids ages 15 and 13 do to get to school or home, sometimes the library. More frequent routes during high times at schools would be great. I have employees that ride the bus. They are often late due to the buses being late or have little stories that we laugh about but aren't really that funny. Improving the current system would be a top priority to make it safe, accessible, and running on time. Then there's this one that I was looking at that I think is one of my neighbors. In Spanish it says, que hubiera un bus que corra por Kale entre Corden y Portland Road. Es muy cansado caminar hasta la parada del bus. Tengo 78 años y mi hija 55, pero los dos tenemos problemas en las piernas y cadera. They'd like a bus that runs along Kale and to Corden and Portland Road, which again, shout out. I mean, I'm just totally doxing myself. Kale, Corden, and Portland, y'all. It's very tired walking all the way to the bus stop. I'm 78, my daughter's 55, and we both have problems in our legs and our hips. Not forcing riders to stand out in the cold during winter, especially while the driver goes on break. Route 6 needs to move to every 30 minutes. If it could be put in with the number 21 and circulate, I think you would get more people to ride transit. You have a lot of people out in the South Salem area that are seniors and disabled. 30-minute Route 6 would greatly help these individuals move about our community.
Can I share it?
Mm-hmm.
Just to interrupt for just a moment, this one was pulled out to me because I actually had to take the 6 recently. I was at work and I needed to very quickly get to the post office and back to the office, and my office is in downtown. And the 6 was leaving soon, so I got on the 6, got to the post office on Mission, was able to do my business, and it was out in about 20 minutes. If you've taken the 6, you know the 6 runs once an hour. I walked back to my building in downtown before the 6 would have gotten there. And also I was away from work for like an hour and a half when it should have been a 30-minute round trip if that bus just ran every 30 minutes instead of every hour. So I hear to my core, because South Salem has, like, this is one of the main routes in South that pulls you into downtown, and it runs once an hour. And I completely understand why you might instead find a friend to carpool with, or decide to schedule a lift, or any number of things to try to get there in such a way that wouldn't make you have, like if I'd been an elderly person trying to wait for that amount of time, that would have been, I mean, it only worked because I was able to walk directly back to my office, and I had somebody that I could call so that I was, safe and being careful the whole way. But yeah, I just wanted to pull this one out because I actually had a personal anecdote about the 6 around that, so wanted to echo that.
Someone said that it's too expensive for single rides. Ways for moms with double strollers to have access to a bus would be nice. If the priority seats were already used, they have to wait till the next one. So frequent buses would be nice. I have seen a bus have to move on because all of that priority seating is taking up and there's no more spaces for mobility aids. And yeah, I think that there's lots of things in here that are just like the direct experiences of people using the service, wanting to use the service, needing more support, safety and accessibility first, more bus shelters, more frequent access to and from Staten would be great. Like there's so much in here that I think that I could take up a big chunk of this meeting, but I really, again, appreciate the presentation, appreciate all the folks that have taken the time to fill out the surveys, both positive and negative. That's all information that we need. And yeah, I hope that our board members can have the time to just, look through some of these, just to maybe feel a little centered in the work that we're doing. And with that being said, I'll pass it over to our general manager.
Great, thank you. So, ready for the handout. So this next discussion is a follow-up from our special work session last week. The board talked about with the chamber of building a what I'm calling a task force. And so I have with you an outline of what that could look like. But just before we get into that, just let me set the table. If you remember during the discussion, Tom Hofford, who's representing the coalition, talked about resetting the table, having employers able to participate via a seat at the table to help them gain clarity, establish partnerships and proof of need, understanding the cost-benefit analysis, and meeting unmet needs. Ultimately, they kind of pulled out 3 goals: review and assess the system, discuss shared responsibility model, or what I call a user fee model, and a cost-benefit analysis where potentially future funding's tied to measurable outcomes. And then what I took from what I heard from the board, it's important if we have this task force, to educate and inform the group, present what Cherriots is now and what it could look like, and really tying the service plan to what we believe it's going to cost. So what you have in your handout is a draft, I guess I'll call it a charter for what we're calling the Cherriots and the Business Task Force goals. So the reason I'm reviewing this is to get further input from the board. I've received some already, but the idea is at the end of this, once whatever the final version looks like, is what we can share with the coalition for their perspective and feedback. So you can see kind of established a desired outcome, that the board and the coalition have consensus on an appropriate employer payroll tax rate that funds a long-term, comprehensive service plan to address the unmet needs of the community, resulting in a service that ensures mobility for all residents of Salem-Keizer. The task force goals would be 1, to educate and inform the task force about Cherriots through a review and assessment of the district, which would include the services it provides, the long-range financial forecast, our long-range transit plan, and a discussion on the key performance measures we use to measure the performance of transit. Then moving into a few meetings of facilitated discussion from an outside facilitator on the long-term funding of district services, ultimately wrapping up in a task force recommendation. The proposed structure that we put together was, of course, the Cherriots Board, 1 representative from each member of the 6 coalition entities selected by the coalition, and one Salem Health representative selected by Salem Health. And the purpose for that is they would be the largest contributor, and so they should have definitely a seat at the table. The task force would meet in a public work session format. Tentatively, we could use the second Thursday of the month at 5:30 when we normally hold our work sessions. I did accept the January one. We'd move that to the second week because the way the calendar falls, that would be the first week people return from the holidays. They would be recorded and open to the public, and proposing a 5-meeting process that would take us into May, where potential topics of each meeting. The first meeting would be, kind of kick it off, deal with logistics, an introduction to Cherriots services, and then a presentation on our long-term financial forecast. Meeting number 2 would bring in an outside guest presenter who could talk about the value and the economic benefits of what a robust transit system in a community provides, as well as the business community. The third meeting, and then we'd get into the long-range plan, the performance measures, and have that facilitated discussion. That would also happen in meeting 4 and potentially meeting 5, wrapping up in the goal would be a final recommendations that ultimately the board would consider as they move into next steps. And we've identified some potential things for that coalition group to read to help them be prepared for any discussions. So that's what we've put together. This was some of the board leadership has had their input in this as well. And so now we'd like to have a conversation of what we should tweak, if anything, so that, and then get a head nod so we could share this with the coalition tomorrow.
Any feedback from the board? Yes, Director Holmstrom.
So is the idea with the facilitated discussions is to hire someone to do kind of a neutral party to do that for us?
Yes.
Okay, great. I think that's a good idea. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, Director Carney.
Thank you, President Hinojos Pressey. General Manager Pollock, when we say that the meetings will be available for public viewing, can you just help me understand what all is included in that range?
Well, it would be a public meeting just like tonight. It'd be in work session format. And then all of our meetings, we must have an electronic opportunity for people to watch. So Zoom will be on, and of course we record the Zoom, so if people need to watch it for some reason they miss. So it's a public meeting. I think what I was trying to say is it's not a behind doors discussion. It's
Right.
open public meeting.
Yeah. I just wondered if we streamed them anywhere, like the meeting that I was in all day today was streamed on YouTube Live. And I feel like our meetings maybe used to be on Facebook or something. Anyway.
We did for a while put our board meetings on Facebook as a supplement to
Right.
CC Media
Yeah.
and YouTube. Yeah.
Would CC Media be covering them?
We haven't discussed that yet.
Okay.
That's up to you.
Okay.
Director Davidson?
I'll just add one thing. I think that this is a pretty well thought out list of task force goals and structure and agenda topics. For the speaking from personal experience, I know that I'm someone who reads a lot, and so I think these reading and handouts will be very helpful, but I think that having an experiential component would be very useful to any committee members. I know we as board members are provided a bus pass. I think it would be wonderful if we could provide a similar opportunity to the members, even if it is only temporary, for them to experience firsthand the bus system, the wonderful parts of it, the not so wonderful parts, the areas for opportunity, just so, regardless of if you use a bus regularly, you get a glimpse into that, exercise in empathy perhaps. Yeah, that's just one potential addition. I don't know if that fits here, but I wanted to state that. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? I mean, yes, Director Laura Midkiff.
Thank you. I'll make the same comment I made at the work session, which was, I would hope that there would be rider representation on the task force. I don't see that here, but I think that's valuable. For any conversation, obviously, the business community is involved. They're paying, we're asking them to pay a tax, but there are other stakeholders in that conversation that I would like to have at the table, but don't see reflected here.
Okay. Yes, Director Davidson.
General Manager Pollock, this is a task force, but it's, you mentioned it's gonna be in the format of a work session. I think that's, maybe I'm inferring, but that's because of the function of the size of this body. Would we have an opportunity for members of the public to provide public comment to this task force? I know we don't do that for work sessions.
We don't normally, but we could certainly do that or create some other type of forum where there would be an opportunity for the public to provide input for the task force to take into consideration.
Yeah, I think Director Laura Midkiff's point is well made. I don't know if representation on the task force body is the only way to get that, but I do want to ensure that we do have rider perspective present in the task force in one means or another.
Director Carney?
Thank you, President Hinojosa-Pressey. Just kind of taking this idea and working with it a little bit, because I do very much appreciate the idea of having a rider perspective, or more than just two perspectives to balance the conversation. Would it be possible, and I know it would be an ask in addition to what we are already requesting of them, but our Community Advisory Committee, I know, I believe Director Duncan is a liaison to that group, and I don't know if that would be a good fit or if they would be amenable, but as they are already advisory to the board, if we could specifically invite their invite their participation and comments at these meetings, and then they would have the opportunity, to sort of exercise that advisory capacity to the board, maybe during, or at the end of the process. I don't know if that would be a good fit, but it was just an idea that came to mind in terms of like a community body that is already somewhat informed on the district and our activities.
I do want to point out that we will have a lot of new members on that committee in this time frame, because we are sunsetting our current program and moving into our new bylaw program, which includes new recruitment, new members, new positioning, everything, which it will not happen until December. So theoretically, these conversations could start. There are a few members that would be potentially continuing because their terms do not end, and so we could potentially ask one of those members that is a legacy member that's been on for a long time and that would have the ability to have some conversations. I did brief the Community Advisory Committee on what our conversation at the last work session was like this last week, because a lot of them didn't realize that it had happened. I know that we send out notifications, but that it was, if I wasn't looking for it, I also may have missed it. And so I just gave them a quick overview, and I would say that there's definitely enthusiasm, but I mean, it would be up to this body. I just wanted to point out, though, that some people will be stepping off. There's quite a few that will be continuing. And also, we have a different makeup of that board going forward. And so not everybody is required to be a rider. We have, businesses that are entering that board, potentially large employers, the chamber, et cetera. So they won't all necessarily be riders from that committee, although we could invite one of the representatives who is a rider, which is one of the categories from that committee. So it's just a quick overview. And Bill's been doing this significantly longer than me and has much more insight. I only just was there this last week, so I'm also going to hand this over to Bill.
No, I think you covered it. We're in a period of change with that advisory committee, and so I think there's some practical difficulties potentially there. And I think just I think it's a good idea. This is already a lot.
Yeah.
And I wonder about actually like functionally making this work and and to get to an outcome. How many cooks do we have in that kitchen? Just being real thoughtful about that.
Yeah, Director Duncan?
Just to continue the conversation about the makeup here, which is where I feel like we're kind of at the moment. We talked about both outside businesses or community members. That was brought up at the work session last week. Because we did point out that the coalition does not represent even the majority of the business community that we have in Salem. However, something that is not lost on me is that these are the group of people that we would theoretically need to convince to not referendum us. Theoretically, we do not need to convince the rest of the business community not to referendum. Theoretically, not to referendum us. That being said, I don't think that means that they shouldn't deserve a voice at the table, because the whole point of the task force, from my perspective, is to get a better dialogue happening with the business community. I wanted that since the beginning. It was made clear last week that that was not understood by our asks for feedback, and so this is the first time we've really had the opportunity. So I do think that there's also the too many cooks in the kitchen, etc. I have always liked the idea of doing a town hall with the rest of the community. We only really did one that was just exclusively the Chamber of Commerce. And I dislike that we've done anything that might be perceived as something that was, or that was inaccessible to the rest of the community. They got access to us that nobody else has, just to ask questions about this and to state their feelings about this in a open public forum that was literally dedicated just to talking about this. And I think it might actually be worth it also to have the rest of the community members to be on that board as well. If we're inviting we could have the whole task force as a panel. We could do one of these sessions or have an additional session be a town hall where we are all asked questions. I don't see especially like if we're all going to be having these conversations transparently and open, then anybody could be able to come and ask questions about, why we're there and what the discussions are having, if they've been watching and they dislike the direction it's going. I'm just introducing some other ideas that I don't know if these are the solutions. It's just, I hear what everyone's saying. I also agree that not everyone can be involved in this process, and I hate that. And also I always look for a third option. There's got to be a third option to make sure that this is a group of people that is manageable and we can get through all of this in a timely manner while still entertaining as many voices as are reasonable. I do want to quickly say that if in the event that we are asked to do more meetings than this, I am willing to do more frequency, but I'm not willing to extend out the end date. Thank you.
I think I just want to bring something back up for our desired outcome. Right here we state that our desired outcome is for the Cherriots Board and the Business Coalition to have consensus on an appropriate employer tax rate that funds a long-term comprehensive service plan to address the unmet needs of the community. So I definitely hear the calls and the desire to have more public input outside of this body and outside of the coalition members, participants. But in this specific regard, we're talking about coming to an agreement on an employer payroll tax, and the people that are directly paying that. And we've heard a lot. We've had great feedback and information and conversations with our writers, with our community, through all of our surveys, through regular public comment. And in my perspective, the representation that our writers would bring is our need for service enhancements and the desire for specific service enhancements. Going back to some of the comments here in our survey, I have some folks that provided us with Google documents that have been actively awaiting this for years. And what we heard from the coalition is that they've only known about this for 6 months. So this is also, I think, a part of trying to bring the coalition up to speed to make sure that they're on an even playing field with our writers whom have known about this potential for years. And so we want to make sure that they're getting the appropriate information. And again, as the people that are paying the payroll tax, deciding on a rate that is reasonable to them. Does that make sense? So I think right now what I've heard is that we seem to be in concurrence with the desired outcome. Yeah? General head nod. Director Duncan.
With one addition, the addition being, in the case that we come to a majority agreement that all parties endorse said agreement publicly. I don't want to go through all of this and then just have a board member of one of these coalition businesses be unhappy with the outcome and run a whole campaign anyway. That would be antithetical to the point. So I would like there to be something about either an endorsement of the agreement, or that if, as long as we're being asked questions about it, I would love there to be something in there along those lines. Yeah. Or for them to agree with us in the moment, we move forward and then put out 10 emails about how horrible it is, which we've seen impacts even our ability to collect information about what's going on.
Any thoughts from the board? I heard mm-hms and little head nods, so I guess maybe that is an addition that we could make. Okay. Task force goals. Are we in concurrence on the goals about educating and informing the task force on our services, long-range financial forecast, long-range transit plan, key performance measures, facilitated discussion, and then the coming to a collective recommendation? Yes, Director Holmstrom.
Yeah, and maybe, just to follow up on what Director Duncan was just talking about, and maybe this is part of the, the facilitation piece of this, but I think it's going to be super important for this group to have some ground rules and to have some understanding of where we're trying to get to at the end. And that may be coming to an agreement that everyone can agree to and signs on to publicly. And, but, I don't necessarily want to prescribe that because we don't have the group together yet. But I think it's healthy to have that discussion about that up front.
Yeah, it can be part of the logistics piece.
Director Duncan?
I've received significant feedback from business community members that they do not feel that we've demonstrated demand, like the need for, and I know that we've got some, like to bring in a guest presenter here, but I do think that briefing them maybe on I know we did this a bit at the one meeting, but I do want to make sure that that is well represented. I'm sorry, what am I missing?
How do you feel about the goals?
I think, I apologize. I'm skipping around more than I meant to.
That's okay.
No, I think that the goals was just ask all parties to endorse an agreement.
Okay.
Sorry, thank you.
No worries. And then on the task force structure. So, I mean, this is the public body of 7 members. So if the majority of folks would like to modify how we have presented this structure, would love to hear that. Yes, Director Davidson?
Thank you, President. I think maybe this is a clarification, but for the task force goal 3, I would like the recommendation to come from the task force members who are not members of this body. So the term task force, I don't know if we're included in it or if we're not, but I would like the recommendation to be from the constituent parts that are not us.
Okay.
That makes sense, because it would be to the board.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so the recommendation would have to come from the part of the task force that is not this body. Okay? Task force, so going back to task force structure. Is there any additions or changes that folks are interested in seeing in our task force structure?
I have a question about goals. I'm sorry,
Yes,
I'm
go
not ready to
ahead.
move on. We've heard again and again from the chamber about exploring other funding opportunities, which I'm not interested in doing, but I won't be part of these conversations. But it might be worth, one goal might be, maybe it's part of a long-term funding, I'm not sure, but just how we finance things now, and, you know, just so there's understanding about the role of fares, the role of different sources of tax revenue, et cetera. That might be, but just to make that explicit in the goals so that there is, we build a common understanding around how things are funded now and what changes may or may not be useful in terms of the long-term solvency of the agency.
So like current revenues,
Funding sources.
yeah, like the funding sources, because I mean, we have the long-range financial forecast, but we want something that's like specifically like how it's operating now.
Yeah,
Right?
and, you know, candidly, if I were on the board and I were a business owner and I were in the position to do this, I would want to know all of that immediately. Like, I want to know exactly how things are run and how things are spent, and you know, you can't make informed decisions without going in the day-to-day, so.
And I think we can incorporate that into the services piece.
I agree. I
Here's the
just
services
wanted to
and
make that
here's how we
explicit
fund.
because we're handing this to the chamber tomorrow, or the coalition rather, tomorrow, and someone's going to read that and go, well, we want to know about the finances and stuff too. So I just wanted to make that explicit for the coalition.
Yeah, so services and finances. Okay. Yes, Director Davidson.
Thank you for your long suffering, President. Going back to desired outcome,
That was like such a slow burn.
I know how to deliver a punchline. So I know we're talking about transit for tomorrow, and I think the long-term comprehensive service represents a couple different things, but I wonder if we should include the word immediate and long-term comprehensive service, because right now we're not fulfilling the needs of our community now.
Right.
Of course, that is true for tomorrow and in a decade if we don't change things, but I think this is not just an issue for a future undefined, it's an issue for now. There is, in my mind at least, there is urgency to this matter, so. Yeah, I'm in my head, so I know what these words mean, but I think explicitness, being more explicit might be to our benefit.
I would really hope you're not in someone else's head.
Maybe we could just eliminate long-term.
Yeah.
Just it's a comprehensive service plan.
That was gonna be my recommendation.
Oh, sorry.
No, but you
Okay. I'm not hearing anything on the structure though, so I'm gonna assume that everyone's fine with it.
I've already said my piece about
Yeah.
the structure.
can live with it, I think is where we are.
Okay, can live with it is where we're at. Yes, Director Davidson.
While Director Duncan is thinking, I don't know if this distinction matters, but Salem Hospital is the one who will be will be taxed. I believe the corporate entity is Salem Health, but maybe they're not one and the same. I don't actually know their corporate structure, but yeah, because Salem Health has clinics all over the place. But I believe it's only the hospital that would be subject to the tax, so.
I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll look into if there's any difference between Salem Health and Salem Hospital in terms of subject to the tax, and if there's for some reason a difference, we will specify a representative from the Salem Hospital. Bless you. Okay? So task force structure can live with it. Topics, I think Director Duncan, you wanted to say something on the topics?
Yeah, I think that I have been asked, thank you, sorry. Yeah, I gotta stop doing that. Thank you, Director Inhofe-Pressey. I think that we need to speak to demand of it. Like I said, I've had that echoed to me multiple times. I think that would be helpful. Go ahead.
Demand.
Demand
of increased services. I think that, I know that in the presentations we've given, it's been touched on, but I think that we need to expand on this in particular because the way that demand is measured in transit is not in the same as most business metrics are. And I think that might need to be explained properly, because we keep getting questions about like how many people are on the bus and things like that, without explaining that this is a type of service that right now is at a minimal level to the point that it's prohibitive of people using it. And I think that we're lacking that understanding. And I've had multiple business owners come to me and specifically say that we have not demonstrated a need. And I know that we do not feel that way because we talk to people every day and we all ride the bus and we see the demand and we experience the demand. But I think that should be included. The other piece here, I think had to do with financing. It's okay, I lost it. I'm gonna pass it off to somebody else. I'll let you know if I remember.
Yes, Director Holmstrom.
Yeah, thank you. And one thing that may be kind of under some of these larger headings that I want to make sure that we include is kind of describing where Salem-Keizer is at in terms of the service that we are providing compared to our peers in not just Eugene, Springfield, but other parts of the Pacific Northwest or other parts of the country. Because we're not providing as much service as those places for the population that we have here. And so I just want to be, let folks know that we're behind and be real clear about that. So as much information we can provide about that, I think is helpful, and not just in the dollars, which I think we showed with LTD, but in actual service that we're actually able to get on the street because of the resources we have. Thank you.
Yes, Director Duncan.
Thank you so much. I remembered. It was not about finances. It was about history. I think that it's very imperative to this whole conversation that we do an overview of the history, from how we were created to how our neighbors were created and through. It doesn't have to be long. We saw Director Davidson just a couple weeks ago do it actually quite quickly, I would argue, like maybe 10 minutes or less. But it is, I find, very informative to the conversation to really set the tone of how, although many people will be entering this conversation for the first time, we have been in this for 40 years. And I really, really want that to be where we're starting from so that we can all get on the page that many of us are carrying a legacy forward. And we feel, I know at least I feel in part that it is my duty to bring that forward. And that is, this coalition is now part of that process and part of that history and part of this very long conversation that we have been having between us and this business community and all of the different forms that it's taken over the years. And I think it's important that we lay that out. Not just, and I would also like to see that just better communicated to the general public as well, but we can start here for sure.
Okay. So it seems that we've kind of ran through outcome, goals, structure, and agenda topics. General Manager, do you want to recap us to just make sure we're on the same page?
Yes, so as I make modifications, I don't miss anything. So under desired outcome, I will eliminate the words long-term and incorporate towards the end that when we have a consensus on a rate and then the recommendation includes public support of the entities involved as we go forward. I'll get the right wording tomorrow. Under task force goals, under services, we'll kind of make it services / history / transit 101, if you will. Under long-range financial forecast, we'll include a discussion on funding sources. I think Director Holmes said it. These are kind of big, broad categories, but what I'll do is capture the content in the preparations. And then under Task Force Goal 3, it'll be a task force recommendation, SANS board members, in May of 2026.
Hold on, Director Duncan?
I think we maybe have an incongruency here. I just want to ask if other people feel this is incongruent. Our desired outcome is that we have a consensus, yet our goals say that the task force, not including us, provide a recommendation. And I'm worried that we will get a recommendation that we do then not agree with, and therefore will not have a consensus. And so I just wanted to clean that up potentially before that gets out of hand.
Director Davidson?
I interpreted that as this is the desired outcome. So as I understood, the coalition's desire for a reset, and they identified a few things that they wanted. I believe they called them foundational to the reset. I think the work of the task force would accomplish those foundational items for the reset, and then from there we would achieve the desired outcome. So we have umbrella outcome, and then the goals of the task force are a constituent part of that. That's how I read it. Obviously, if that's not clear to others, that's a problem. But I view, so my expectation is that the recommendation would kick off more discussion, not be the end of discussion. Now, I have concerns about timing, but that is, yeah.
Remember, desired outcome is, think of it like a vision. If it all worked out perfectly, that's what it would look like.
My concern is that we're going to get a recommendation that we disagree with, and then we will not have consensus, and the whole thing will be for nothing. And I just want to make sure that that is something we're all comfortable with, because that's the way this more or less is laid out in such a way that they may bring us a recommendation that has multiple non-starters that we've stated, so like are non-starters, and that we will just disagree with, and this whole thing will just continue. And I just want to make sure that's understood.
Yeah, Director Holmstrom?
Yeah, I just want to be clear that that's not your desired outcome, right? I mean, we're trying, Director Duncan, right?
Oh,
that,
no.
Yeah, that the task force, all 14 folks on there will come to a agreement about where we're at. It's going to take some give and take, right? And it will involve, the rate, the timing, maybe other activities that the board will decide to undertake or choose to undertake in terms of operations or however we want to move forward in the future. And that's going to be, everyone will be on board. And we'll all publicly come to that agreement, and then that public agreement will come to the board, and we'll be able to move forward with that. That's the way I see it, hopefully, moving forward. Maybe I'm being naive, but let's hope where we get to, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, continuing on. Okay, structure, no changes. And the topics, so in there is either an additional meeting or a standalone opportunity to create an opportunity for public comment via a town hall process. Under the long-range transit plan, key performance measures, ensure we talk about demand and need, because really the definition of what we need depends on who you ask. But how we measure it and what really, that's all based on what the community has told us. And also in there, making sure we can paint a picture of how our service as compared to peers. We're comfortable with more frequency of meetings, but the goal is still to finish by May. And we'll also, as part of the process, provide bus passes and opportunity for travel training and trip planning to help people get out there and experience the service that we're all going to be talking about over the coming months. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, Director Duncan.
Could we add, I'm still uncomfortable with the structure of the board. I would love to see 2 seats for outside businesses that are not part of this coalition, because my goal from this is to have an agreement with the business community as a whole, which we very aptly pointed out is not fully represented by this group. I think that we said at the meeting last time that we had, the chamber represents something like 1,100 businesses, and they said there was something between 8,000 or 9,000 in the area. So that is, I'm concerned. That's my first concern. My second concern is, with or without, I think it would also be prudent to have at least 1 town hall piece, if not 2, built in. And also, if my fellow board members are happy with the structure of the board, I will not hold up this discussion for that, as long as I get my town hall. So.
Well, I think the town hall
Town halls are in.
Yeah, the town hall's in, and I guess we'll go to Director Carney for.
Oh, I just was, like feeling a vibe from Director Duncan that she wanted to do like an Ask Me Anything. You did one of those, didn't you? I feel like we could maybe have a board Ask Me Anything. A little more accessible to folks that, have to wait an hour for the bus or ride their bike in the rain, because it's not the best time of year.
Any I guess, like additional support for modification to the structure? Yeah, Director Navarro.
Thank you, President Hinojosa Presi. I think that, or just maybe we should have a conversation about this, but what is the value of having the cities involved? So having a representative from the city of Keizer, from the city of Salem. I think Marion County was also a government entity that could be subject to this tax. So having them involved in this.
Well, we decided that we weren't going to tax the governmental agencies.
So should they still not be involved in the conversation?
Well, I mean, I don't want to stray too far into like, this is continuously like an open conversation. The intention with this task force is, again, just to like get the coalition up to speed. They came to us with a specific ask, and we want to be open and amenable to that.
Perfect, thanks. Just wanted to pose the question.
Yeah. Director Holmstrom?
I just want to say I appreciate all my colleagues' attempts to be inclusive and to make sure that we're bringing lots of voices in, because I think we should be doing that as a board. And I think we can do that as a board, absolutely, on an ongoing basis. And we've tried to do that, of course, with our Community Advisory Committee, and we're rebooting that and trying to get that better. And all the different ways that we try to do that, I think we should continue to do that. I see this as a very targeted, and I'm being very pragmatic with this one. I'm trying to get to an endpoint where we have the resources to do everything that we need to do. And there are some things in the way of getting there, and I want to make sure that we're able to, with the support of the community, move past that and get to where we're trying to go. And it's already complicated enough. That's where I'm at, But I think absolutely, in addition to this, I think a town hall. It's probably a good idea to do something like that every year, probably, right? For the community to be able to come and ask the board whatever you want, or whatever, something like that. And other activities, absolutely on board with that. That doesn't mean we have to necessarily put all of those hopes and desires on this task force. Thank you.
Okay, all that being said, all I need is just some head nods if we're comfortable moving forward, especially with the modifications that General Manager Pollack stated. I wanted a head nod. Oh, wow. Wow.
Okay.
I don't think it's very appropriate of a vice president to turn on the president like that.
It's a
Very
coup.
supportive Korean vice president.
Okay,
Insurrection.
yeah. Is there another item in this section? No, we're done, okay. So that brings us to our general manager's report.
Great, thank you. So I do have a few items to report. First off, in 2 weeks, the Oregon Transit Association will be holding its annual public transportation conference, which several staff members will be attending. On November 11th is Veterans Day, and we will be providing Saturday service on that holiday. And on November 13th is Expo Negocio. We are one of the sponsors, and we'll be putting out an invitation to the board members who would like to attend either the whole event or the luncheon event as part of that process. And then I'm going to ask our Chief Employee and Labor Relations Officer, did I not clear about your announcement about mustache? Yeah.
She's very excited.
Yeah.
We're very excited about mustaches. I don't know. I don't know if you're all aware, but we have a new campaign coming that involves promotion of facial hair. But we're calling it Mustache November, and we were recently notified by the official No Shave November organization that they will be collaborating with us nationally on social media officially, and then they also have a ton of corporate sponsors. So there was an italicized may. They may also be involved. But we're just really excited. We also have MTM which is our paratransit and regional service, who has committed to partnering with us nationally. We're really hoping that when this takes off and it's repeatable, we could do it annually thereafter, and maybe some of our partners in the Salem-Keizer area will partner with us next year. Thank you.
That concludes my report.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I'm gonna go with Director Navarro. I'm gonna start on this side of the dais so that way we can like close with Director Lar Midkiff since it's gonna be the last meeting. So starting with Director Navarro.
Thank you, President Hinojosa Presi. Sorry to get off topic here, but I just wanted to confirm that in the task force agenda topics, we did include historical context from kind of where Cherriots started to how we've been serving the community into that.
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. And yeah, for updates in Keizer, well, folks that know me know that I wear many hats in the community, and one of those hats is for the Family Council, where my kids go to school, and we will be having a Harvest Fest on the 28th and Scholastic Book Fair at the same time. So I'm really excited. We got to work on this for the last 4 months to put it together. Or excuse me, not 4 months. It's been about 2 months. But to make this happen, and so I'm really excited that we get to celebrate that in Keizer. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Director Davidson.
Thank you, President Hinojosa Presi. On October 10th, I attended what I'm calling the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments Executive Plus Committee. It's the executive committee with some additional board members and members of the, no, it's just board members, sorry. There's a lot of different committees there at that Council of Governments right now. But we had an opportunity to talk about where the COG is now and next steps forward. I'm happy to report that the COG is moving in a very positive direction, and that there will be more details to come, but the new interim executive director is taking her role very seriously and is doing a great job. She's got a lot of support, both within the organization and without, and it's really exciting to see. Beyond that, I wanted to highlight, so on, I don't know, into September, when was this? September 29th, maybe? I did a Reddit Ask Me Anything. And so as part of, I guess, my attempt to engage with the community about the service enhancement plan while I was unable to speak quite clearly, I contacted the moderators of the R Salem subreddit and reached out to them, asked if I could do it. They seemed keen to it, so went ahead with it. And so I know Chief Rose likes to share stats. I got some stats as well. So, I don't know what all of these things mean, but boy, will I tell you. There were 96 comments, 146 upvotes. The upvote ratio was 97.4%. It's a large number. I assume it's good. And looks like that might be the only useful, oh no, there were 15,000 views. So that's probably the reach. You use the word reach a lot. There were 15,000 views. That was the reach. Impressions, you also use that word. I don't see that here, but I left an impression. How about that? But it was great. I had intended to only spend 2 hours responding to questions. I posted the opportunity, and then people had, I don't know, a day and change to post questions. There were a lot of very thoughtful questions. People in the community were, of course, curious. They'd seen the news article, seen the Facebook debates and conversations. Some excellent questions, and I think I did a fair job in answering the questions, but it was really exciting to see other people care about the community in the way that we care about the community. As I think about the future of Salem, the future of Salem-Keizer, the future of the Mid-Willamette Valley. I envision a world where there is a freedom to choose how you get around, that you are not limited by the walls of your neighborhood or by whether or not you happen to have a car loan. And right now, we're not meeting that. There were a lot of comments. There were some personal anecdotes about people being stranded. There were personal anecdotes about where the service did not meet the expectations or the demands of the community, and that was heartbreaking. I'm keenly aware of our inefficiency. I'm also super proud of the work that we do with the resources we have. We simply don't have enough resources. As I've articulated in our last board meeting, this is not a new problem. This is a 5-decade-old problem. This is a systemic problem that requires a systemic solution. And just wanted to share that the community is deeply interested, and please contact me privately if one of my answers was wrong. I'll try and correct it later. So I'll pass it on. Thank you.
I mean, or do come provide public comment and tell Director Davidson that his answers were wrong.
Actually, that would be very funny. Please do that.
That won't happen. The part of Reddit is the anonymity, so that would just, yeah, that would be horrible. Director Duncan.
Thank you, Director Hinojosa-Pressy. So this is my first month as the board representative on the Community Advisory Committee, and it was lovely. Bill and I have traded a couple of positions, and I'm excited to get to know everybody better. We went over a couple things. We brought the service enhancement plan maps that we brought to all of the open houses so that they were able to look at them. One community member asked if they could take them home, which was very lovely, and I love how much people really appreciated the visuals. And the payroll tax was discussed. I kind of gave an overview, which I'll do for you guys in a second as well. And then we gave an update on recruiting efforts. We've received 4 applications. Would love to see more than that, but 4 is more than we've had in a long time. So thank you to everybody who has applied and keep applying. Very excited to talk to you. So just a quick overview about the payroll tax being discussed. Some of you may be tuning in thinking that we were going to vote today on whether or not we're moving forward with the ordinance. And I just wanted to kind of provide a little bit of clarity because things happened between the last time you saw us and now. And I don't think that that's been the most, you'd have to be following pretty closely to know what happened. So I just want to give a quick overview. About 2 weeks ago, we got an email from a coalition of different business and real estate groups from the area asking if we could meet. And we got that, I think it was something like Monday of what our work session was supposed to be. And so we invited them to come to the work session on Thursday. And they said that wasn't quite enough time. And so we made a special work session the next Wednesday, which was last week, where we all met and they came and presented to us. So we heard their concerns about they felt there was a lack of communication. They wanted to have more time to have input, et cetera. And so we talked extensively about kind of how things have gone, where we'd like to see them go, and agreed that we would negotiate a little bit on creating a business task force or advisory committee of some sort, which you saw us debate the outcomes for today. We asked if they had a proposal for us, because I was hoping to actually just have the negotiations there that night. They did not have a proposal at the time, and they specifically asked us to bring one to them. So that's what we are doing. We are bringing them a proposal of what we're willing to do here. And so we had a little bit of back and forth about it. It's been laid out, and we have until November 10th to come to an agreement. We have agreed not to do the first reading of our ordinance until then. If we are able to come to an agreement about this business task force, we're going to send our approved draft, I believe, tomorrow. That gives us until November 10th for a little bit of back and forth. The hard part with this is I just want to remind everybody who maybe doesn't avidly read the news as some of us do, that serial communication is a thing we have to be very careful of on this body. If you've read any of the many articles that have come out about the city council who had ran into this snafu, we are not legislators, and we cannot speak with more than 3 of us on a topic. And if 3 of us, which is 1 less than quorum, speak on a topic, and one of us then goes and speaks to everybody else, it's as if we all spoke. And so we basically can't deliberate on things. And so that's why we invited this group to come to us directly, and that's why we had a secondary public meeting where we could all meet and deliberate. And I just want to clear that up so people don't feel like people are getting special treatment or whatever. We actually have to all be together to have conversations, and that's why we are deliberating on the task force goals tonight, is because we actually can't have back and forth email conversation really about this. We have to do it out in the open to stay above public meeting law. So we're doing our best to be able to have these negotiations between all of us and then also be able to include the community. Now I'm going to stop my factual information and I'm going to give my personal information. A large part of why, there's two big reasons why I personally agreed to this. The first one is I genuinely have wanted to hear from the business community this whole time, and I wanted to hear from them more than we have. And I wish that these conversations had really started when we started to reach out back in June. I thought that us saying that we wanted feedback and we wanted to engage with everyone was a clear invitation for collaboration, for conversation, for input. And we had received feedback last week that it was not. That was not understood, that we were looking for, that's what we were looking for. So, but that is always what I wanted. And so I did want this conversation, so we're gonna have it. That being said, there's an additional reason, and that is that we were directly told the last time we all met that we would be referendumed if we move forward. And I want to remind everyone what a referendum is. A referendum is when a group comes in, I'm going to say this in very non-technical terminology, so layman's terms. A group can come, get a bunch of signatures, and if they meet a threshold, then they're able to compel something to go out to a vote onto the ballot. So we can pass this ordinance, and a group can come and get enough signatures to then move what we voted on instead onto a ballot where everybody else in the area gets to vote on it. If that happens, certain things are triggered. And that includes the fact that everybody on this dais and everybody who works for Cherriots no longer can advocate for the thing that we passed. We can educate on the services that we do, but we are not allowed to actually advocate for it. There could be ads that go out that are incorrect. There could be emails that go out to special interest groups. We cannot actually engage in any of that. There are, in some communities, in other states, other places, there are nonprofits that are transit advocacy groups that sometimes take this on. So you may have seen like another state have a group that is able to advocate, but we do not have one in our local area. So basically, there would not be, unless somebody really stepped up and took it on, no one to really advocate for what we are doing. And that is not lost on me. That puts us at a significant disadvantage. And if we were to ignore all of this and vote right now and be referendumed, this would appear on the May ballot. I personally, again, speaking about me personally, would rather see this on the November ballot because more people will likely vote in November. And I do think that in some ways this is a numbers game. And if we're going to have to push this out to the people regardless of the fact that we've all worked very hard to just move this forward so we can all, move forward with the promises that were made 7 years ago, I would rather that the most amount of people participate in that process. So that is part of the reason why I agreed. One, because I want to have these conversations, and two, I think it's also just good strategy at this point to push it out. And those two things come together. I have already seen the comments of people being disappointed that we aren't voting tonight. I hear you. I'm also disappointed we're not voting tonight, just to be fair. I wished all these conversations had happened a lot sooner. I wished we'd been able to have conversations and wrap it all up by now. I'm sad. And also, we're going to do it anyway, and we're going to move forward. We're going to have a bunch of hard conversations, hopefully, and they're all going to be public, and you're all invited. And I hope that you all continue to be robustly as involved as you have been, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that this process continues to move forward and isn't drawn out any longer than it needs to be. So thank you, everybody, for your faith and your belief and for your advocacy, and we're going to keep going. Cheers.
Thank you. Director Carney?
Thank you, President Hinojosa Pressy. Well, our Salem-Keizer Area Transportation Study Policy Committee does not meet until next week. And at that meeting, we will discuss, I believe, the comments that have been received on the public participation plan and a few changes to the transportation improvement plan for the area. And if you're free over the lunch hour, I'm going to chair that meeting because I don't think Lyle Morehorse is able to attend, but I can. So that is next Tuesday, the 28th. And I just want to say, Director Duncan, how much I appreciate your comments. I was reflecting on our work session with the chamber after it was over, and I was thinking about the legacy that Peter Courtney has left in our community, and how many things have his name on them, right? We've got that Minto Island Bridge, which is like what a game changer for our green space and the connectivity of our downtown to one of our greatest assets. We have Courtney Place across the street from the YMCA. We have the YMCA, which was a part of Peter Courtney's legacy. He put money in their hands through the state legislature to help refurbish that building and make it new. I think his name's on a sign out by the state hospital that I've seen. I'm sure there are so many more. And I was thinking about those contributions and just how they all seem to be showing Salem how to love itself. Like here's a bridge connecting two of our best green spaces and bringing community towards. This is how a community loves itself. Here's some veteran housing across from a refurbished YMCA. This is how a community loves itself. This is a contribution to the state hospital. This is how we take care of our people. And that's what he was showing us with all of these contributions. And I think that includes the piece of legislation that he negotiated with Senator Winters and the Salem Chamber of Commerce. This was one of Peter Courtney's gifts to this community, showing us how we can love ourselves, showing us what to do, giving us the tools. And so I'm deeply grateful to that legacy, and I hope that that opportunity is not lost on anyone. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Director Holmstrom?
Thank you very much, and I don't have a report this month and don't think I have anything to add. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Director Laura Midkiff, you're not going to get the last word. I'll get the last word, but go ahead.
I brought a speech. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Panotli Cualiteotlaki, buenas noches. Con el permiso de la presidenta, me gustaría tomar un pausa esta noche, viendo que es mi última reunión como parte de la mesa directiva de Cherriots, para compartir reflexiones de partida y extenderles a todos agradecimiento por el apoyo que me han brindado durante estos últimos 2 años. Estoy pensando en mi familia, que ha sacrificado cenas y semanas conmigo mientras me dedicaba a esta posición. Pienso también en el personal destacado de Cherriots y mis colegas en la mesa directiva, pero mayormente pienso en las comunidades campesinas y trabajadoras a quienes he dedicado mi energía profesional. Como agencia nos esforzamos por elevar las condiciones y realidades diarias de las diversas comunidades que constituyen nuestra parte del Valle de Willamette. Nuestros vecinos en Salem-Keizer merecen pueblos mejor conectados por un sistema de transportación que máximamente facilita el acceso a las escuelas, el trabajo y la vida cotidiana. En nuestra agencia nos especializamos en apoyar gente trabajadora, gente mayor, gente con discapacidades y jóvenes yendo a la escuela, y como tal, toda la comunidad. Aunque todavía nos falta realizar un sueño de largo plazo, cada voto que he tomado y cada esfuerzo que hemos campeonado nos ha acercado a una visión de comunidad conectada, una comunidad donde la gente florece. Es por eso que me duele ver, como hemos visto recientemente, grupos de interés especial gastando tanta energía para desarmar servicios necesarios, como la expansión de tránsito aquí en nuestra comunidad, solo para evitar gastos que ya se habían negociado. Enfrentando la hipocresía, nos tenemos que mantener firmes en la creencia que si los gobiernos y las instituciones merecen su autoridad e influencia es porque sirven al pueblo. Como comentario general, les ruego no olvidar que independientemente de lo que sucede durante periodos de incertidumbre y caos a nivel nacional tanto como local, tenemos toda la capacidad de sobrevivir este momento. Nuestras gentes vienen de grandes legados de resiliencia, tanto como nuestros pueblos de origen, como los Estados Unidos. Es inaceptable que personas con influencia política e institucional nos nieguen derechos humanos fundamentales porque les conviene o intensifica su poder político. Es insoportable cuando sucede en los campos y en nuestros vecindarios y cuando impide nuestros derechos de la educación, la movilidad y la salud. Lo que sí me anima es el hecho de que si nos enraizamos en nuestras comunidades, encontraremos lo necesario para declarar nuestras presencias, reclamar nuestro futuro y apoyar esas generaciones que vienen atrás de nosotros. Este momento de injusticia endémica demanda nuestro mejor esfuerzo. Les pido movilizar, como muchos ya lo están haciendo, y que continúen el trabajo de fortalecer nuestras comunidades. For the public officials, particularly our Marion County Commissioners, who may not have understood my comments, I encourage you to better acquaint yourself with your neighbors and their needs instead of finding ways to facilitate their deportation. Briefly in English, I will say a huge thank you to the incredible staff who every day here deliver necessary services that keep our communities moving and connected. As I mentioned in my resignation letter, this agency has been recognized at the local and national levels for outstanding governance, long-standing financial accountability, and innovation in the transit sector. While directors are public stewards, Cherriots delivers the necessary services because of its leadership, administration, maintenance, operation, and safety personnel. These hundreds of staff and contractors give Cherriots its earned reputation as a valued service in our community. Personally, the vast majority of staff here have blown me away with their excellence, service, and humanity. In closing, I want to state for the record, and probably for the upteenth time, that we are all part of the collective effort to make everyday life in our shared home easier for everyday people. That's kids getting to school, folks on their way to work, retirees grocery shopping, and the sick and disabled accessing treatment or getting out of the house. We have failed at that historically, and we will continue to fall short without intervention. I am grateful to my colleagues for their continued effort toward that project, always, but especially at a moment when that effort to materially improve the lives of working people seems to come under constant threat from many corners of society. My resignation, which I will tender to the governor, is effective tomorrow. And for now, I'll close by saying I look forward to being part of the effort to create community connections as a neighbor in South Salem. As we say in my pueblo, Tlaxtlawi, gracias, and thank you for the last 2 years.
Now I immediately regret not giving you the last word. Thank you, Director Laura Midkiff. We know that this is not the last that we'll see you. It's a see you later, not a goodbye, but we will miss you all the same. With that in mind, I do want to provide just a brief update to folks on terms of our committee reports on the board. We are ending the Service Enhancement Subcommittee. They've completed their work. that has been successful. Now we're going to be moving on to the next phase, one of those phases including hopefully this task force, and more work beyond, so stay tuned for potential other subcommittee options. One of the things that I had totally expected General Manager Pollack to bring up is the fact that we went to Albuquerque, New Mexico.
I wanted to give you the chance.
Well, I went back to my hometown for Latinos in Transit. And I think the thing that I want to highlight the most is you've heard me say over and over again that I moved here and I said, where are all the buses? I'm used to buses that run every 5 minutes. And I'm here to tell you that Albuquerque is the largest U.S. city that continues to be fare-free.
Yay. Sorry.
In fiscal year 24, they provided over 7 million rides. And that is only about 80% of their pre-pandemic ridership, so they still have quite a ways to go. One of the things that I do also want to note for folks, especially as we're talking about free fares, Albuquerque used to charge $1 per ride, and their return was about 34 cents. The city of Albuquerque spent over $1.75 million each year just to administer fare collection. So in the year, like immediately after implementing the zero fare program, they saved themselves over $1 million. And that is part of the reason why Albuquerque has been able to continue and will continue on providing fare-free ridership. They also have Albuquerque Rapid Transit, which I hadn't gotten to experience because I moved right before it was implemented. And it is very interesting to be able to move around in a city with rapid transit. And I took Alan to some of my absolute must-dos when it comes to Albuquerque, New Mexico. So if anybody wants to know, you have to go to Frontier Restaurant, which is right across the street from my alma mater, University of New Mexico. And you have to go to Monroe's, which is the pinnacle of like Albuquerque, New Mexico food. And we bought, I bought a literal giant sack of red dried chili to bring back home. And I did all of that on this fare-free system. It was so much easier to just be able to hop right onto the bus and hop off and really get to engage with the community again that I hadn't been a part of for at least 8 years now. So when we talk about the possibilities that Cherriots has, I'm definitely thinking about Albuquerque, New Mexico, being fare-free, providing over 7 million rides, and still having so much more to be able to go. And that is what I want for us, to be able to go so much further. And I don't think that, for once, I think I am definitely at a loss for words in terms of advocating for a service enhancement plan because our board members have done such an excellent job. So I will leave it at that. And it is now 7:48 and we are adjourned.